After we left Black Canyon, we made a loop through the Rockies, and we started up Highway 92 and 133 up toward Glenwood Springs. The first stop on our circle trip of the Rockies was the little town of Marble, Colorado, which of course is well known for, guess what? Marble. There's a historic marble quarry there that began operations in the 19th century, and the marble is exceptional quality. It's one of the purest marbles ever quarried. It was used for the Tomb of the Unknowns, parts of the Lincoln Memorial, and other important buildings around the nation. But it's a cute little town, too, and it has a lovely little lake in the back. We would have liked to spend the night, but we couldn't find a place to stop. So we continued on, and on our way up toward Glenwood Springs, we passed by these coke ovens, and they're called beehive ovens. Along the way, we noticed that the trees were getting more yellow as we went up in elevation. The aspens were just gorgeous, and we just delighted in seeing them. It's September 19th, my parents' 71st anniversary. And instead of ending up in a cool campground in the Rocky Mountains, we ended up in a church parking lot last night in a big city. Very strange. It's because even though we were surrounded by national park lands, national forests, it said no camping within a quarter mile of the river. Well, the river was on one side and the mountain was on the other. They're building some apartments over here. But we spent a quiet night. Church parking lots are pretty cool. We got to park under this nice tree and next to the big rock. So we're good. Oh, look. There's a little puppy coming to... Oh, two puppies. I wonder who they belong to. Our second day, we continued around the loop and went through Snowmass Village and Aspen, which are really high-class places. So we didn't even stop. It was very hard to even find a place to stop. But the colors were gorgeous. It's really easy to tell where the city of Aspen got its name. As we continued up the mountains, we had some competition with bikers. There were a lot of bikers on the road. But tucked away in a little mountain pass, we found the ghost town of Ashcroft, which was a mining town that, of course, went defunct. But we had a great time exploring around there, and there were some wonderful trails, beautiful shrubbery, and how about this spot for a campsite? Unfortunately, it wasn't available. But the views of the mountains from Ashcroft were stupendous. I love seeing the trees quake and the leaves fly when the wind blows. Beautiful, beautiful. Fall in the Rockies, at least in this area, is different than it is here at home. But the color that we saw on our way up to Independence Pass was just spectacular. This is Independence Pass. We had a one-lane road back there for a while where people have to wait for each other. It was right up against the rock and right out against the edge of the railing. But this is fabulous. Okay, now this is the panorama of all panoramas. Okay, maybe I was wrong. are in the very tops of the mountains. There's the road where we were coming up. All the way around us. We're at the summit, the Continental Divide. As we headed down from Independence Pass, it was now time to try to find a spot to spend the night. And we found one after a long search. Well, we found a good campsite for tonight on BLM lands, free, with our own fire circle and our own snow-capped mountain. Morning at our campsite. The sun is shining and the clouds are bright. So what if it got down to 29 last night and the heater wouldn't work? Because we're at 9,200 feet, which is the total reason why it's so cold. But today is a new day, and we kept each other warm. On the next day, after our lovely BLM campsite, we headed down and east toward Buena Vista, Colorado, and on the way we passed the beautiful Twin Lakes. We weren't in time for church in Buena Vista, but we did walk around town a little bit, and we saw this mastodon made out of leather, flat really like that. And this interesting sign, I thought it was interesting to read what the kind of things people want to accomplish before they die. It was in a little cafe there. From Buena Vista, you get a good view of the College Peaks, which are 3 separate mountains named for the Yale, Harvard, and Princeton. Here's a view of one of those. I think it's Yale, with the town of Buena Vista at the bottom. From there, we headed uphill again until we came to Cottonwood Pass, another mountain pass, of course, and lovely view from there, and then down toward Taylor Park Reservoir, which was a lovely mountain lake, at the end of which was Taylor Park Dam. We were just up at Taylor Reservoir. This is the earthen dam that holds it back. There's the spillway. And it goes down through this valley. From Taylor Dam, we continued along the Taylor River until we came to the campsite that our friends from Colorado had told us about. They said it was the most beautiful campground in the world, and we got one of the best sites there with the creek behind us and beautiful views all around us. This is our little piece of the creek for tonight. And this is our little piece of the mountain. I think we'll bring our chairs down here and just sit and listen to the creek later. And here's what's on the other side of our campsite. Here's another view of the beautiful creek behind our campsite. The next morning, we went back up into the mountains to Crested Butte, a National Historic Site and big ski area. We are in Crested Butte, Iowa. Colorado, and it's way up in the mountains, but turns out that it's a tourist town. It's probably ski town, but there's the Crested Butte. We enjoyed walking around the historic town of Crested Butte. It reminded us a little bit of Jonesboro, except that it's much more well-known and very popular with tourists. After leaving town, we took one last look at the mountain that gives the town its names and then headed back down to the highway. After Crested Butte, we finished the circle tour coming back down to Gunnison and US 50, and then we headed east toward the Great Sand Dunes National Park. But that's tomorrow's story.